Sometimes God removes certain people you thought were meant to stay in your life forever. Have you ever experienced the sudden loss of a relationship you truly believed would last forever? Someone you trusted, someone you leaned on, someone you once felt deeply connected to your life. And then almost unexpectedly, the connection fades. Sometimes the distance grows slowly. Other times it may disappear almost overnight. And in those moments, the question quietly appears in your mind. Why would God allow someone important to live my life? In today's reflection, I want to invite you to explore a difficult but powerful truth that sometimes what feels like loss may be actually divine redirection. Welcome to another reflection time with Dr. T, a space where healing meets growth and becoming begins. In today's reflection, we'll begin by looking at the hidden mechanics of divine redirection. When people leave our lives, the pain often feels immediate and sometimes personal. We replay conversations, search for explanation, and wonder what went wrong? Why did this end? But faith invites us to consider another perspective. Faith reminds us not every relationship is meant to last forever. Some people enter our lives as catalysts. They arrive during a specific season, helping us learn lessons, grow emotionally, and move towards a particular milestone. Once that role has been fulfilled, their presence may no longer align with the path ahead. From our perspective, the departure feels confusing, but from a wider view, it may be part of a much larger design. Sometimes what feels like rejection is actually protection. Protection from conflict we cannot yet see. For many of us, we have gotten used to stagnation and comfort traps. What do I mean by that? Relationships often provide comfort. They create familiarity, shared memories, and even emotional safety. But what if I told you comfort can also become a form of stagnation? It holds you back. There are moments in life when growth begins to pull you towards a different direction. Your values may evolve, your vision may expand, and your priorities changes. And when this happens, not every connection can grow at the same pace. Some relationships continue to support your development. Others will quietly anchor you to an earlier version of yourself. And when you hold tightly to those connections out of habit or fear, we may unknowingly delay the next stage of our journey. So, my dear friends, it's important to clear the path for greater alignment. Nature often follows a simple principle. Before something new can grow, space must first be created. And to receive, you must open your hands and let go. The same principle often appears in our own lives. When certain relationships end, a space opens that often felt impossible to imagine. At first, that emptiness can feel unsettling, but over time, it can reveal something unexpected: clarity. With the constant influence of familiar voices, you begin to hear your own direction more clearly. You start recognizing the opportunities and the relationships that align more closely with your deeper purpose. What once felt like loss begins to look more like preparation. We must learn to navigate the transition from grief to clarity. And this simply means that the most difficult stages of this transition is often the middle ground. The past has already changed, but the future has not yet fully appeared. So how do you handle that middle ground? This in-between space can feel lonely and uncertain, even fearful. Yet solitude often carries its own quiet wisdom. Solitude gives us the opportunity to reflect on what those relationships taught us. It helps us to refine our boundaries, understand our needs, and recognize the type of connections we truly value. Over time, what once felt like an empty space becomes a place of personal growth. I learned so much during my time in solitude. I therefore invite you, my dear friends, to embrace a vision that exceeds your current reach. Sometimes relationships we lose today are connected to opportunities we cannot even yet see. They may be connected to future paths. Our future path may require different collaborations, different environment, or even different forms of support. From limited perspective, it feels like something meaningful has been taken away from us. But in reality, something new may be quietly preparing to enter our lives. Faith invites us to trust the path unfolding ahead may be far greater than the one we imagined before. And sometimes the people we thought were meant to stay in our lives forever were actually meant to guide us only part of the way. So, my dear friends, before you leave today's reflection, I invite you to take a moment to remember something important. Not every goodbye is a failure. Not every ending is a mistake. And sometimes the most difficult departures in life are actually the moments of quiet redirection. Note that the relationships that remain will continue to shape you, and the relationships that leave may have already completed the role they were meant to play in your life. Trusting that process is not always easy, but sometimes the path towards Your greatest purpose begins with letting go of what once felt permanent. I hope you were inspired by this reflection. And I want you to remember, sometimes the people who live your life were never meant to stay forever. They were simply part of the journey that prepared you for what comes next. Please don't forget to share your thoughts and your comments below, and make sure to come back for more life wisdom with Dr. T. Thank you.